I took care of my sick mother for 7 years. Bathed her, fed her, missed birthdays, lost friends. Then one day she handed power of attorney to my younger brother who lived 2 states away. He came with movers and said, "You're not needed anymore." She watched from her chair and said nothing. I slept in my car that night, but a month later I found the document that proved I was 38 when I moved back to Nashville after my divorce. I had nothing left but my pickup truck and a couple boxes of clothes. My mom was living alone in Franklin, about 30 minutes south. When she had her first stroke, I didn't even think twice. I packed what little I had and drove straight to her house. It started with small things: helping her get around, driving her to doctor appointments, cooking meals, and making sure she didn't forget to take her pills. But over time, she got worse. The strokes kept coming. She lost the ability to walk on her own. She'd have bad days where she couldn't talk right. Sometimes she didn't even remember who I was. I gave up everything. I mean everything. Friends stopped calling after the first year. Couldn't go out. I missed birthdays, weddings, funerals. My brother Nate visited maybe once a year, usually around Christmas, and only stayed for a few hours. He'd bring a bottle of wine or a new sweater for Mom, snap a few pictures for social media, and leave. Meanwhile, I was changing diapers, cleaning bed sores, and sleeping on a couch that ruined my back. Still, I didn't complain. I loved my mom. I thought she knew that. The house started falling apart around year 5. The roof leaked. The dishwasher broke. The back steps collapsed after a storm, and I used cinder blocks as a makeshift fix. I did everything myself because we didn't have the money for contractors. We lived on her Social Security and a little pension from my late dad's job at the plant. By year 6, she barely spoke. Her eyes would follow me around the room, but she'd only say a few words. Some days were better than others, but she always let me feed her, always let me wash her. That's how I knew she still trusted me. Then came the day that shattered everything. It was a Thursday. I had gone out for groceries and picked up her prescriptions. When I came back, there was a white moving van in the driveway. 2 men were inside, packing things into boxes. My mom was in her chair, watching quietly. And there was Nate standing there like he owned the place. "What's going on?" I asked. He didn't even blink. "We're moving her. She's going to a facility in Charlotte." I looked at my mom. "Mom, what's he talking about?" She didn't answer. "She gave me power of attorney last week," Nate said. "Everything's signed." She agreed. "What the hell are you talking about? She doesn't even know what day it is half the time." "She knew enough," he said. "And the lawyer was there. It's legal." "You're not serious." "I am. She needs real care. Not some guy living off her in a house that's falling apart." That hit me like a punch. Living off her? I gave up my life for her. He just shrugged. "You're not needed anymore." I looked at her again. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "I'm your son," I said. "I've been here. Every single day." "You can't let this happen." Nothing. Just silence. I slept in my truck that night, parked outside a Dollar General about 5 miles from the house. I didn't have anywhere else to go. I had maybe $80 in my bank account. No job. No backup plan. Over the next few weeks, I tried calling. No answer. I drove by the house once. Nate had already put it up for sale. Her car was gone. Her garden was dead. Everything we built over the last 7 years was being erased. Then one day, I was digging through a storage unit I kept in Nolensville. Most of it was junk, some tools, old records, a few photo albums. I had put some of Mom's things in there during the cleanup. At the bottom of a cardboard box was a small gray lockbox. I remembered it. She kept it in the back of her closet. Inside were old insurance papers, her wedding ring, and a few letters. One of them was addressed to my son. It was handwritten. Shaky but legible. "If something ever happens to me, my name is the one who knows what I want. He's the only one who stayed. He gave up his life for mine. Please trust him. He knows what's best." There was also an old power of attorney form, signed, notarized, dated 3 years ago, naming me. I took it straight to a lawyer I knew through church. Her name was Debbie. I didn't know what I was expecting, maybe just someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. But when she looked through the papers, her face changed. "You may have a case," she said, "especially if the newer document was signed under questionable circumstances. This one shows her intent. And if her mental state was already declining." That's when the wheels started turning. Debbie, the lawyer, told me to sit tight. She made some calls, asked me for any medical records I had. I gave her everything, prescriptions, notes from her neurologist, even the logs I kept of her good and bad days. I had been tracking her symptoms in a little notebook. Every time she forgot my name, every time she couldn't recognize the stove or called the microwave a TV. I didn't know it then, but those notes would become key. 2 weeks later, Debbie called me back. "We need to meet," she said. When I sat down in her office, she didn't sugarcoat it. She was not in the right mental state to sign that new power of attorney, she said. Her medical records confirm it. And there's something else. Nate didn't use a family attorney. He used one of his clients. Someone with a history of getting things done quickly, no questions asked. "So what can I do?" "We can file a petition to revoke Nate's power of attorney based on undue influence and mental incapacity. And if we're lucky, we can get an injunction to freeze the sale of the house." I nodded slowly. "Let's do it." 3 days later, court papers were filed. I didn't hear from Nate directly, but I got a call from his lawyer. They wanted to negotiate privately. I told them to go to hell. When the court hearing came up, I stood there in front of the judge with shaking hands. Debbie did most of the talking, but I spoke too. I told them everything. What I gave up. What I endured. I showed the letter. I handed over my logbook. I even brought in a few of Mom's old neighbors as witnesses. They backed me up. "Nate was never around," one of them said. "We only saw him at Christmas. But my name was always there. Always. Nate didn't even show up." His lawyer tried to argue, but the judge wasn't having it. At the end of the hearing, the judge granted a temporary suspension of Nate's power of attorney. The house sale was frozen, and the court ordered a new medical evaluation for my mom. When I finally saw her again, it was at the care facility in Charlotte. Debbie came with me. Mom was thinner, quieter, but when I walked into the room, she looked up at me. Her mouth moved. She didn't say my name, but her eyes lit up. She knew me. Nate walked in a few minutes later, looking smug. "You made a mistake," he said. I didn't say anything, just looked at him. He looked down at my clothes, my beat-up truck outside. "You really think you can win this?" I turned to him, dead serious. "I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because she deserved better than what you did." What I didn't expect was the nurse pulling me aside on the way out. "She talks about you," she said, "every night. Says she's sorry. Says she wishes she could go back." That night, I sat in my truck again, but not because I had nowhere to go. I sat there because I needed to think. I needed to decide how far I was willing to take this. Debbie called the next day. The results of the new evaluation were in. My mom was diagnosed with late-stage vascular dementia. The evaluator wrote that she would have been incapable of understanding any legal paperwork, including a power of attorney. "We're going for full guardianship," Debbie said. "And once we get that, we go after Nate for financial abuse." That's when I found out he'd already drained $42,000 from her savings account. I didn't even know she had that much money. Mom never talked about savings. She used to say, "We got enough to keep the lights on. That's what matters." Debbie was furious. He moved fast. As soon as he got control, he moved the money into a brokerage account under his name. Not even a trust. Straight theft. I asked, "Can we get it back?" "If the judge rules in your favor and you get guardianship, yes. But we need to move fast." That night, I drove back to Franklin. I parked outside the house, the one I called home for 7 years. There was a for sale sign still leaning on the porch, but a giant red, pending sticker covered it. The realtor's name was listed on it. I called her. "Hi, this is my name. I'm the son of the woman who lived there. Can you tell me if the sale has gone through?" "Oh," she said. "You're that son. What's that supposed to mean?" "Well, the brother, Nate, he said you had issues. That you were stealing from your mother and the court forced you out." I gripped the phone so hard I thought it might crack. "He lied to you." She went quiet. "I'm just telling you what I was told." "I'm sorry." It hit me then. Nate hadn't just kicked me out. He had been laying the groundwork. Telling people I was a problem. That I was a leech. That I was dangerous. He poisoned her friends, her neighbors, even the realtor. Debbie said that would actually help our case. "Classic pattern," she said. "Isolate the caregiver, make them look unstable, and then swoop in to take control." But the real twist came a few days later. I got a call from a woman named Cheryl. She said she used to be our mom's best friend, went to church with her for over 20 years. I stopped coming around when Nate showed up, she said. He told me you didn't want visitors. Said you were being controlling. That's not true. I know, she said. That's why I'm calling. I have something you should see. I met her at a diner outside of Spring Hill. She handed me a folder full of old church programs, cards, and one yellowed envelope with my mom's handwriting. It was addressed to Cheryl, but never mailed. Dear Cheryl, I worry sometimes that I'm losing pieces of myself. But I want to tell you the truth while I still can. My son, my name, is the one keeping me alive. He is everything. If anything ever happens, please make sure he knows I love him and that I trust him more than anyone else. That letter changed everything. Not just for the case. For me. I'd been carrying guilt, wondering if she really wanted me there, or if I had just forced myself into her life out of duty. But that letter gave me the answer. We submitted it to the court. The judge reviewed it, along with the old power of attorney, the medical logs, and the statements from the nurse and neighbors. The guardianship hearing was set for early July. But then Nate made his move. He filed a petition to have me legally barred from visiting her. Said I was emotionally unstable and a threat to her well-being. Debbie wasn't surprised. This is desperation, she said. But we can't ignore it. If the court believes even a little of this, it'll delay everything. I was furious, but I stayed calm. I had to. Then came the bombshell. Debbie found out Nate had submitted doctored medical forms. He'd paid a shady clinic in Charlotte to produce a clean evaluation saying our mom was competent when she signed the power of attorney. Problem was, the date on that evaluation didn't match the date of any of her actual medical visits. It was fake, and we had proof. Now we weren't just talking about revoking his power of attorney. We were talking about criminal charges. It all came down to the final court hearing. I wore a suit I borrowed from my cousin. Debbie told me to stay quiet unless the judge asked me something directly. Nate was there, clean-shaven, in a gray suit with a red tie and fake confidence. His lawyer looked like he hadn't slept in days. The judge came in, an older man with a deep voice and sharp eyes. He didn't waste time. We started with our case. Debbie laid out everything. The original power of attorney, the dementia diagnosis, the forged documents, the letters, the nurse's statement, the bank records showing the missing money. We had it all lined up. Then it was Nate's turn. His lawyer stammered through a weak defense. Claimed mom was mentally sound the day she signed the new power of attorney. Claimed I was abusive and tried to control her life. When the judge asked about the fake clinic documents, the room went dead quiet. I'll remind you, the judge said slowly. Submitting false evidence is a felony. Nate's lawyer started to speak, then stopped. The judge looked straight at Nate. Did you know those documents were fake? Nate hesitated, then nodded. Yes, sir. I didn't feel triumph. I felt sick. That was my brother, my blood, and he just threw away our mother's trust like it meant nothing. The judge revoked his power of attorney, awarded me full guardianship, froze all of Nate's accounts tied to mom's money, referred the case for criminal investigation. And then the judge looked at me. You also made mistakes, he said. You didn't seek legal help until after the damage was done. You let your personal resentment cloud your judgment. You should have acted sooner. I nodded. He was right. I had let it get too far. I had stayed silent when I should have fought back years ago. But now it was done. I moved my mom back to Franklin, found a good assisted living place nearby, visited her every day, read to her, held her hand. She couldn't say much anymore, but she'd squeeze my hand tight. That was enough. Nate was charged with financial elder abuse and fraud. He took a plea deal, avoided jail but had to repay every cent and lost his license to work in finance. He moved out of Charlotte. I haven't heard from him since. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about that day he told me, "You're not needed anymore." He was wrong. I was needed. I always was. She just forgot for a while. But I never did.